Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel, where we're doing, that's right, another monorail video. However, we're not actually talking about this monorail today. And if you don't recognize it, this is the monorail train that I bought from the Minnesota Zoo, and there's plenty of other videos about this on my channel, so I'm going to ignore this for the moment. But today, we're going to be focusing on a historic monorail. So this was a demonstration or test monorail that was built in South St. Paul around 1888. And the developers hope to extend it all the way from St. Paul to Hastings and maybe over to Minneapolis. They weren't able to get permits, even with the blatant corruption at the time, or possibly because of it. Now, I've heard that you can go down in the ravine there at Bryant Avenue and possibly find remnants of this monorail train. I doubt there's much left of the car. I'm sure that was scrapped long, long ago, but some of these posts for the overhead track are supposedly still down there. This one's obviously different than my monorail. This was an overhead or suspended monorail train, and I thought this thing was interesting enough that I actually made a small model of it. Alright, so here in the driver's cab of my monorail, I have a variety of knickknacks and toys and keepsakes and other monorail-related things. And this little guy is one that I made a few years ago that is a scale model of that South St. Paul monorail. So it's basically just a little trolley or tramway cabin and then suspended train wheels up on this wooden track, and the track could handle a monorail in each direction on either side. And yeah, I thought it was cool enough that I built this out of balsa wood and a cheap little HO scale train. And it's just a fun thing to have in here, along with toy models of other monorails like this one. So let's leave Sandland behind for the moment and run over to South St. Paul, where we'll see what we can find of that old monorail. Alright, so we're down here in the ravine, which is one of the possible locations for the old monorail. And we're basically just looking for, well, timbers, kind of like that one, but I think that's a more modern railroad tie. Since this was a suspended monorail on the wooden overhead track, we're kind of looking for just remnants of the track that would look, again, a bit like that, potentially. Well, so far we found some kid's little fort and a copy of What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Here we've got another little combination teepee and drain pipe fort here with, oh, more homework, into the wilderness. Well, I guess this is almost wilderness if you don't count the suburb up there. You definitely get a lot more trash in these urban ravines. There's part of a TV. So we're basically just right down between people's yards here. Here's a weird little pit in the ground with a berm around it. Now, if we were out here looking for mines, I would say this is a mine shaft, but I don't know of any mines in this area, and that's not what we're looking for. So we keep finding these old beams, and these are about what we're looking for from the monorail era, but I suspect these are probably more modern landscaping timbers or railroad ties. It's really hard to tell, though. It's super hard to tell the age of any of these wood beams. It's, you know, it's possible they're just landscaping from people's yards up on the lip of the valley, and it's possible they're older than that. There's some sort of a cement footing here, like something was built here. Car parts, and somebody's started to build a little fort or something here. There's some sort of tire chandelier torture device set up here. That's very strange. Here's an interesting old sewer or drain. The manhole cover has been removed, and this pipe looks abandoned. I don't know how old this is. It's an old brick shaft, and this is a pretty old lid. St. Paul Sewer Department, no, South St. Paul Sewer Department, and it's a really flimsy lid, so that's definitely an old one. The new ones are all really solid and heavy. So I might have to do some research and find out when they put sewers or drains into this ravine, because this could be in the same era as the monorail structure. And we are seeing more of these cement structures with mounting brackets, like they had something built down here. So this is looking a little more promising for sure, some of these infrastructure objects. Here's some more old pieces of cement with rebar. Could be a foundation for something here. And this is another area that looks like a kind of graded out road or grade. There's a couple deer up there. So I think this is the old gravel pit that's referred to in some of the documents about the monorail. Supposedly when they were working in this gravel pit, they found some remnants of it. And there's these interesting posts sticking up, but I think they're metal pipes. And again, we've got some old chunks of wood. And again, it's very difficult to tell what age these are. These chunks definitely look older, or at least more rotten. So these are pretty good candidates for being old monorail pieces. I didn't really realize this was here. It's a very torn up area right in the middle of town. So Bryant Avenue runs alongside on the other side of this gravel pit. Gravel pit area is kind of sandwiched in between the road and the ravine. And I don't know if the monorail ran up the road or up the ravine. So here's the memorial plaque for the monorail that's on the Clark Memorial Church. And this church looks like it was here when the monorail was constructed, so maybe I can double check some of those photos and see the church in the background. Now this Clark Memorial Church is named after Charles W. Clark, who was one of South St. Paul's founders and an original backer of this monorail project. So here's what Clark Memorial Church looked like around the time of the monorail. Obviously it's had some additions and rebuilding since then, but here's another photo of it where you can just barely see the church behind the monorail track. So that seems to indicate that the track did run up Bryant. Now, accounts are kind of mixed of the actual route of the track. Many people say it ran directly up Bryant Avenue. Some people say it ran in the ravine between Bryant and Central Avenues. And you can see on some of the photos that it does curve off to the right or the south as it goes down Bryant. So that would kind of indicate that it leaves the path of the road and goes towards the ravine. On some older maps from the 1800s, you can see Central Avenue, which runs up approximately where the modern-day ravine is now. Bryant Avenue originally turned into Allison Avenue when it came up to the area of the church, and you can see that's marked on this map with the 681 in blue. So here's my best attempt at the probable route of the suspended monorail. It started at the bottom of the hill on the right near Concord Street, curved up the hill between Central and Bryant, connected up with Bryant Avenue near the Clark Church, and then turned onto 16th. So the whole thing was really only 10 or 11 blocks long, and it was designed to spur development up on top of the hill where Clark and some other investors own property. There were a lot of meatpacking plants and other industries at the bottom of the hill on the right side of this map, and they were hoping that workers and other residents would buy home lots up on the top of the hill and use the monorail as transit to get up and down. Well, that's about all I've got for this video. We found some interesting remnants that may or may not have anything to do with this monorail. Interestingly, the oldest chunks of wood I found were in that gravel pit and right along the possible route of the monorail, so pretty much where I think the track went. So those are the best candidates to be pieces of the old supporting structure. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do occasionally get out and look for old artifacts and ruins and remnants like this, and you can see some of my other videos where I'm hunting with varying degrees of success for old mines in Minnesota. And then of course I've got quite a few videos of various projects and DIY stuff and homemade vehicles that you can check out as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.